Greetings, fellow time travelers. Welcome back to Treasures of History, where we unlock the most incredible mysteries of ancient civilizations. I'm your archaeological guide, ready to take you on a mind-bending journey into the most famous tomb in the world. Today's discovery will challenge everything you thought you knew about the boy pharaoh Tutankhamun. But what we've recently uncovered behind those ancient walls might completely rewrite Egyptian history. Before we dive into these earth-shattering revelations, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Trust me, you don't want to miss the ancient secrets we're about to unveil. Chapter 1. The mysterious walls that hide ancient secrets. Picture this incredible scene with me. You're standing inside the burial chamber of Tutankhamun, surrounded by golden treasures that have remained untouched for over 3,000 years. Everything looks normal. Just painted walls and ancient plaster. But when scientists aimed ground-penetrating radar devices at these seemingly ordinary walls, something absolutely extraordinary happened. The radar signals bounced back in the strangest way possible. Behind the northern and western walls of Tutankhamun's tomb, there was something hollow, something that looked exactly like another chamber. Suddenly, archaeologists had a revolutionary theory. What if Tutankhamun's tomb was just a side chamber to a much larger and more ancient burial site? And here's where this story becomes absolutely mind-blowing. The most likely candidate for this hidden tomb is none other than the legendary Queen Nefertiti. But why is this discovery so earth-shattering? Nefertiti wasn't just any queen, she was incredibly powerful. She ruled as an independent pharaoh, and her final resting place has never been found. No tomb, no mummy, no definitive burial. Egyptologists have spent decades searching for clues, but all this time she might have been hidden right behind the world's most famous tomb. But then, something suspicious happened. All research suddenly went quiet. No new scans, no public announcements. Some began wondering, was something discovered that authorities wanted to keep secret? Were they worried about damaging the tomb? Or was it simply too risky to open a 3,000-year-old sealed passage that could bring down the entire structure? Chapter 2. The Stolen Golden Mask, a case of ancient identity theft. Now let's talk about something that will absolutely shock you. Everyone knows Tutankhamun's legendary golden burial mask, that iconic face that has become the symbol of ancient Egypt. But here's the mind-blowing secret that few people realize. This mask might not have been made for him at all. Some researchers believe that the face we all know today originally belonged to someone else, most likely a woman, possibly even Nefertiti herself. Look at the evidence. The mask's ears were originally pierced, suggesting it was made for a female ruler. And if you examine the cartouche closely, Tutankhamun's name appears to be engraved over another name, as if history itself was rewritten. But the mask holds even deeper mysteries. In 2015, scientists scanned the mask with advanced imaging equipment and discovered microscopic hieroglyphs carved inside the collar, invisible to the naked eye. These mysterious inscriptions invoke protective spells from the Book of the Dead, ancient rituals designed to protect the soul on its journey to the afterlife. Despite being over 3,000 years old, the mask has barely lost its brilliance. It's been cleaned, studied, and scanned countless times, yet it still holds something untouchable about it. Standing before this artifact in the Egyptian Museum is like looking at a divine object. This isn't just a piece of art, it's a portal to a world where gold was protection and beauty was power.
Truly, this mask is a masterpiece that bridges the gap between myth and reality. Every time I see it, I am reminded that history is full of secrets, just waiting for us to uncover them.
Chapter 3. The Warrior Pharaoh's Arsenal. Weapons from the Stars. Here's something that will blow your mind. Tutankhamun might have died young, but he wasn't buried like a child. His tomb was packed with equipment worthy of an adult warrior king. Archaeologists discovered 6 complete dismantled chariots crammed into the small tomb. Some had delicate wooden frames, others were reinforced with bronze. These weren't ceremonial pieces. They showed real signs of use: worn wheels, damaged joints. the kind of wear you'd expect from high-speed riding, maybe even racing. Alongside the chariots lay dozens of weapons, bows, arrows, boomerangs, and daggers. One of these weapons became legendary, the so-called cosmic dagger, a blade forged from meteorite iron. In an era when iron was more valuable than gold, this weapon was something truly special, literally fallen from the heavens. In ancient Egypt, metal that fell from the sky wasn't just rare, it was divine. But not all the weapons were intact. Some pieces were burned, twisted, and cracked from intense fire. When scientists analyzed these charred remains, they found evidence of extreme temperatures caused not by torches, but possibly by chemical reactions during the mummification process. This is one reason why TUTANKHAMUN'S mummy was burned and blackened, possibly due to a violent reaction of oils and resins in the sealed tomb. But why would such a young pharaoh need so many battle tools? Some believe they were part of the royal image, portraying him as strong and victorious. Others suggest a more practical reason. Egypt was unstable during his reign, and every pharaoh needed to demonstrate dominance whether he participated in battle or not.
Whoa! That's just incredible! Imagine being buried with weapons from the stars. It really makes you wonder what other secrets are still hidden in that ancient tomb.
Here's something absolutely eerie that will send chills down your spine. Enter Tutankhamun's burial chamber and speak a single word. The sound won't behave as you'd expect. It will linger, echo, sometimes with an intonation that seems not quite right. Researchers have studied the space and discovered that the design of the walls and ceilings creates strange vibrations. Soft sounds are unnaturally stretched, certain frequencies are amplified. And it's not just in the main chamber. In the annexes and side chambers, footsteps seem to follow you, and voices appear to come from behind, even when you're alone. Was this intentional? That's still unclear. Ancient Egyptian builders were precise. Their monuments were aligned with the stars, their temples designed so light would fall at specific points on certain days of the year. Is it possible they also understood how to manipulate sound? Some researchers think so. In major temples like Karnak and Dendar, similar acoustic phenomena have been observed in deep chambers, where voices seem to echo like a choir. In Tutankhamun's tomb, these effects are subtle but haunting. Guides often lower their voices inside, not out of respect, but because the acoustics make everything sound too close, too intimate, as if someone or something is listening. Could this have served a spiritual purpose? Possibly. In the Egyptian worldview, the tomb wasn't just a burial place. It was a gateway, a room where the dead continued to live and communicate with the gods. In this sense, whispers reflecting off stone could be perceived as responses or warnings.
Of all the objects buried with Tutankhamun, two should have remained silent forever. One made of silver, the other of bronze. Both ancient trumpets designed to pierce the air with royal authority. For 3,000 years, no one had touched them. Then, in 1939, the BBC decided to play one of them live on air. An experienced musician attempted to blow the bronze trumpet during the broadcast, but seconds before going live, the instrument cracked and had to be repaired. The show continued, and the ancient horn produced a haunting, warlike sound. Within weeks, World War II erupted. Coincidence? Maybe, but that's not all. The trumpet wasn't played for decades until someone tried again in the 1960s, and another Middle Eastern conflict flared up. Then, in 2010, after the trumpet was briefly removed from display for examination, Egypt was suddenly shaken by political unrest. By then, even some officials in Cairo were calling it the war trumpet. One museum curator once joked very carefully that it should never be played unless someone was ready to unleash another global conflict. Scientists believe these trumpets were used in ceremonies to summon troops or commemorate the arrival of royal processions. Others think they possessed spiritual power. They were found in distinct locations within the tomb, carefully wrapped and placed next to the king as if they were sacred. Today they remain behind glass, unplayed. The cracks have been sealed, the shine restored, but they're not forgotten. The audio recording from that 1939 broadcast still exists, a soul-piercing, echoing blast from the ancient world.
Fellow archaeological detectives, prepare yourselves for one of the most shocking discoveries in Egyptology. When researchers first examined Tutankhamun's mummy, they were absolutely horrified by what they found. The skin had darkened, almost charred. The body itself was fragile, shriveled and severely damaged. Parts of the skeleton were broken and the resin-soaked wrappings had fused together like melted plastic. At first, many people assumed this was simply age, or perhaps the result of poor mummification.
But when forensic chemists tested the linen wrappings, they discovered something far more disturbing. Evidence of burning, severe thermal damage, all originating from inside the tomb itself. The pharaoh's body had essentially cooked in its own sarcophagus. The problem was in the embalming process, or more precisely, a rushed and careless version of it. Ancient embalmers often used resins and oils to preserve the body, coating it with thick layers of highly flammable substances. But with Tutankhamun, they overdid it. The linen was saturated with organic oils. Once the coffin was tightly sealed in the small airtight chamber, these oils reacted with the trapped oxygen inside, possibly causing a kind of slow chemical combustion.
But here's what's even more shocking. The embalming was far from complete. The body was missing its sternum and ribs. The heart, considered the most sacred organ for judgment in the afterlife, had disappeared, not carefully removed, but simply gone. It was either burned, destroyed, or perhaps never preserved at all. For a pharaoh, this was simply unthinkable. What caused such haste? Some believed Tutankhamun's death was completely unexpected, and the embalmers simply didn't have time to follow protocol. Others think his death may have been politically sensitive, forcing priests to bury him quickly before anyone could start asking questions. Here's something that will absolutely amaze you, fellow time travelers. Inside Tutankhamun's sealed tomb, archaeologists were struck by something completely unexpected, a distinctive smell. This wasn't just the scent of dust or decay, but a sharp, sweet aroma that had somehow survived for over 3,000 years.
The fragrance came from ancient ointments, incense and embalming oils stored in alabaster jars that had been sealed since the day the tomb was closed. Some of these containers hadn't even been opened until our modern era, and when researchers finally opened them, the contents were still semi-liquid, dark, resinous, and incredibly aromatic. Scientists discovered ingredients like pistachio resin, balsam, cedar oil, animal fat, and traces of a dark, tar-like substance. This wasn't done randomly. These were sacred mixtures used for preservation, purification, and preparing the pharaoh for eternity.
The Egyptians believed that fragrances had real power. Scent wasn't just luxury, it was spiritual protection. But what's even more incredible is how these jars were arranged. Many were positioned in groups almost like offerings, while others were found in an embalming cache in a side chamber.
One mixture was so complex that scientists are still analyzing it today, and it may even contain ingredients imported from beyond Egypt's borders. Spices from the Levant, oils from rare trees in Somalia, creating a global supply chain 3,000 years before the modern world. What's truly mind-blowing is that some of these fragrances have outlived entire empires. Locked in darkness and heat, untouched by air, they've lasted longer than any written records.
In a world usually governed by visual effects, it was the smell of this tomb that caught scientists completely off guard. A sensory time capsule still working after all these centuries. For a pharaoh who became a global icon, Tutankhamun's tomb strangely stays silent about his personality. We'd expect to see magnificent inscriptions, detailed accounts of his life, titles carved on every wall. Instead, we find hasty paintings, strange scenes, and an almost complete absence of mentions of his name. At first glance, the burial chamber appears royal enough. Scenes depict Tutankhamun with Osiris, the god of the dead, while others show him being embraced by deities.
But look closer and everything seems wrong. The lines are thick and uneven. The layout is cramped, as if the artists were rushing and trying to hide something. Perhaps the chamber was indeed intended for a woman, for Nefertiti. The room's size is smaller than any other known pharaoh's burial site, and the wall paintings include stylistic choices seen in female royal tombs. On some walls, figures have outlines that don't quite match their current appearance, suggesting edits, quick reworking to transform one identity into another.
Then there's the name issue. Yes, Tutankhamun is mentioned, but inconsistently. Some cartouches appear to have been written over older ones. Such oversights were rare for a pharaoh, leading to the theory that Tutankhamun was buried in someone else's tomb. His death, probably sudden, left officials scrambling. They needed to quickly find a resting place, so they modified an existing tomb, repainted the walls, changed the names, and filled it with whatever treasures could be rapidly assembled. The result, a royal burial in a space that never truly belonged to him.
Yet this very strangeness may explain why his tomb was never looted. Larger tombs with grand entrances were raided centuries ago, but little awkward Tutankhamun's tomb remained hidden and untouched, accidentally preserving one of history's greatest archaeological treasures.
Fellow explorers of the past, as we conclude today's incredible journey through the secrets of Tutankhamun's tomb, we're left with one burning question. What really lies behind those mysterious walls?
Is Queen Nefertiti waiting in a hidden chamber, perfectly preserved since ancient hands sealed her away?
Or are we looking at the greatest archaeological red herring in history?
The evidence is compelling. The hasty burial, the borrowed treasures, the modified mask, the acoustic mysteries, and those tantalizing radar readings that suggest hidden chambers.
Everything points to a tomb that holds far more secrets than we ever imagined.
But perhaps some mysteries are meant to remain unsolved. The curse, whether real or imagined, seems to protect its secrets fiercely. The war trumpets remain silent. The perfumes continue to whisper of ancient rituals, and those walls keep their silence.
What do you think, fellow time travelers? Should archaeologists break through those ancient walls and risk disturbing whatever lies beyond? Or are some doors meant to stay sealed forever?
Share your theories in the comments below. I read every single one. Don't forget to subscribe to Treasures of History for more mind-bending archaeological adventures, and hit that notification bell because next week we're diving into another incredible